Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I've made up my mind to get rid of the Native Instruments Maschine Mikro Mark III. I don't like it as much as I thought I would, and I'm a little disappointed in that. So I wanted to take a few minutes and kind of talk about it and talk about what you're getting and why you might not like it or why you might like it. So if that all sounds good, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm going to get right to it. Okay, why did I buy this? I found it on sale at Guitar Center for a good price. I mean, yes and no. I've wanted one of these since I've started producing music. When I was just starting out, just me and Logic and like musical typing, I thought this would be the coolest thing because it comes with a ton of drum sounds and like you have buttons and just a bunch of stuff. It's amazing. It's basically a drum machine because it comes with a whole slew of software and like tons of cool stuff. I specifically like the Mikro because it's compact. It can fit easily wherever I want on my desk, and it fits in a backpack. It's a really cool, like, compact solution. Some thoughts before I get into why I'm selling it. The pads are absolutely a delight to play. They feel amazing, just super responsive. They light up when you hit them. I know it's not plugged in right now, but you get the idea. It's a drum pad controller, and they nailed it with the pads. They feel great. Maschine workflow, after working in it a few weeks now, is wild. You can do so much with it, a lot of it without even touching the mouse and keyboard on your computer. They've set this up to very nicely integrate with the Maschine software, and it is like a drum machine. Like, you have your own standalone sequencer. I'd say about 90% of the time I can do any action without touching it on the computer. But there are, probably because it's the Mikro, there are some actions that you have to grab a mouse and keyboard for. So one of my favorite things about the Maschine software is there's this quick audio export button, and you can just click and drag and move that into your session, and it creates a loop for you, like a 4-bar, 8-bar, however long your beat was. It bounces that down to audio super quick, and you can drop it in wherever. That is super helpful, and it really adds a cool component to your workflow if you want to use that. And right beside it, there's also a MIDI drag and drop button, so you can just export the MIDI directly from Maschine into Logic or whatever you're using. So all that sounds great. Why would I want to sell it? Well, I am now 13 years into using Logic Pro, so I am super dialed in. I can get what I want very quickly in that software, and Maschine is a completely different software. So it was back to square one. There's a pretty good learning curve. So if you're already locked into something that you enjoy, just be aware that you have to spend a good few hours learning the Maschine software to be able to do anything with it. It is quick and streamlined to get a beat going, but for a lot of the deeper stuff, like, you've got to dig and learn stuff, and there's a lot. Before I bought it, I Googled and researched a lot of like how to use it within Logic, either separately and dragging stuff in, or use it directly within Logic as its own sequencer, outputting audio to Logic. And after trying it out, none of those options really feel nice. I'd call it bumpy or just weird because you have a sequencer inside a sequencer. It's just interesting. If you want to put in the time and get used to it, it could definitely work for you. But I think in my head, when I was going to purchase this, I was getting really nice pad controllers and really nice drum sound. The other thing I realized after I bought this is all these sounds are in battery, or if you get any of the expansions, you already have these sounds. So you're not getting anything newer in terms of sounds if you already have Native Instruments stuff. Like, I've had battery for years, and that's primarily what I was using before this, and all the same sounds are there. So if you're thinking about buying this to get you drum sounds, but you already have battery and some Native Instruments expansions, you already have the drum sounds. Once I considered that, I realized that I like battery a lot better than Maschine because you have a lot more flexibility in the plugin for mixing. Every single block has its own EQ and compression and saturation and transient designer all ready to go. And then you have busing and routing options and just a bunch of stuff. And you don't have as many of those type of options in Maschine. So that's another thing to think about. If you already use and like battery, you might end up liking battery better than Maschine. And again, it's the same sounds. Like, that baffled me so much. It's the same sounds. So you can load the same kit in battery as you can in Maschine. Same thing. So all that considered, if I'm gonna load a drum sampler into Logic, I wanna use battery because It's got a bunch more mixing options. It has the same packs of sounds, the same drum kits and everything, and it's a lot less finicky in terms of controllers and that kind of thing. I had a hard time getting my MIDI keyboard to control inside a Maschine. So if I wanted to play the beats on the keyboard or like play a keyboard part, I had a hard time figuring that out. I think I got it to work once, but it was a struggle. But in Logic or whatever you're using, it just takes MIDI. It's just like nothing complicated about it. Another thing I researched to try to get use out of this was just mapping the controller on its own. It comes with a nice controller editor and you can map it to do a lot of things. And I successfully mapped it to do some of the transports, but I could not get the drum pads working. I was going back and forth with Native Instruments support a little bit, and I had it set up how they said, and it wasn't able to control any MIDI. Like I couldn't play drums on here or play like a C1 or anything like that. So that was a little disappointing. That's another thing to think about. You can program it to do other things, but that also is a learning curve. I think I probably spent like 2 hours trying to program this and got the transports working. So I wasn't thrilled about that. Another thing I thought was cool about Maschine is there's lots of scale modes, chord modes, lots of options for playing melodic content on the pads, bass lines, synths, whatever you want. I started messing with those and it is inspiring. I get different results than I would on a regular keyboard. The problem is I play piano, like I play keys, and if I hear a certain progression in my head, it takes me a hot second to get the progression played on here. Like this feels foreign to me for programming melodic content, and I could just sit down and knock it out on my MIDI keyboard. So that's another thing to think about, and I think maybe I wouldn't be as upset about that if I could have gotten my keyboard working within Maschine better. So things to think about. I think if you are someone who can't play keys and like making beats is your primary instrument, I think this would be a great option for you, because there are lots of ways to get melodic content out just with the pads. But for me, for someone who's used to playing chords and leads and, you know, whatever I want on a keyboard, I kind of had a hard time with the translation to 16 pads. I think I'll end up getting a 16 pad drum controller that's not affiliated with any software, or even like the Yamaha, like, you know, drum pad that you can play on with sticks. That might be a better option for me. So if you're in the market for any drum controller, definitely consider this. This is worth considering, but it is not super versatile. Like you get locked into Maschine pretty quickly. And if you want to use Maschine, like it's an awesome software, it's just not for me. So if you're into that, you might love this. But if you already like if you like programming in Ableton or Pro Tools or Logic, you might want to just stick with those and find a controller that you can map to that. I did enjoy making some beats on this and I felt inspired right when I got it. It's just not practical for like a long-term keeping workflow kind of thing. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching and make sure you like and subscribe.